Okay, here's something weird. We eat beef, we eat chicken, we eat pork, turkey, fish, even goat in a lot of the world. But sheep in America? Almost never. Think about it. When's the last time you saw lamb chops on a normal dinner table? Or someone ordering mutton at a drive-thru? It basically never happens. And here's the strange part. Sheep are everywhere. There are over 1 billion of them on the planet. They're raised on every continent except Antarctica. People love their wool. People drink sheep milk. People make cheese from them. So why did Americans look at a sheep and think, yeah, no thanks? The answer has almost nothing to do with taste, and everything to do with history, money, and one very specific war. Real quick, if weird questions like this keep you up at night, you're my kind of person, and it genuinely helps this tiny channel grow. Okay, back to the sheep. First, let's kill the biggest myth. People assume we don't eat sheep because it tastes bad, that it's too gamey, too strong, too weird. But that's not really true. Most of the world eats sheep happily. Lamb is a delicacy in the Middle East, across the Mediterranean, in India, in parts of Africa, in the UK, in Australia, in New Zealand. Billions of people eat it and love it. So the meat isn't the problem. The problem is us, specifically American history. Here's the thing about eating meat. What a country eats isn't random. It's shaped by geography, farming, economics, and habits that go back generations. And in the United States, sheep never really got a fair shot. Not because they were bad animals, but because everything around them was set up for something else. Beef. To understand why, we've got to go back a couple hundred years. And trust me, it gets interesting. In the 1800s, as America expanded west, there was a massive fight over land. And I don't mean a metaphor. I mean actual violent conflict. Cattle ranchers and sheep herders both wanted the same thing: open grazing land. Huge, wide open spaces where their animals could feed for free. But here's the problem. Sheep and cows don't graze the same way. Sheep eat grass extremely close to the ground. Cattle ranchers claimed sheep ruined the land for cows. So they fought. These were called the sheep wars. Fences were cut. Herds were slaughtered. People actually died over this. And guess who mostly won? The cattle ranchers. They had more money, more political power, and more influence. Sheep herders got pushed out, pushed onto worse land, and pushed out of the American food story. Right there, before most of us were even born, beef won and sheep lost. Now let's talk money, because that's what really decides what ends up on your plate. Cattle are basically a machine built for American-style farming. They're big. One cow gives you a huge amount of meat. They handle the vast open ranches of the West really well. And the whole system, the feedlots, the trucks, the processing plants, got built around them. Sheep? Different story. They're smaller. Each one gives you way less meat. They need more careful management, more protection from predators, and honestly, more work. So a rancher does the simple math. Same land, same effort. Which animal makes more money? Beef, every single time. And once the big money goes one direction, the whole industry follows. Bigger farms, cheaper prices, more supply. Beef got cheaper and cheaper, while lamb stayed rare and expensive. Here's a twist you might not expect. For a long time, Americans did raise a lot of sheep, but not for meat. They raised them for wool. Wool was huge. It made clothes, blankets, uniforms. It was serious business for over a century. So in America, sheep became known as a wool animal, not a food animal. The whole identity of the sheep got locked in as the thing that makes sweaters. And then something killed even that. Synthetic fibers, polyester, nylon, cheap man-made fabrics that didn't need a single sheep. The wool industry crashed, and when wool collapsed, so did most of America's sheep farming. There was no big meat industry waiting to catch it, so sheep just quietly disappeared from American life. Now, here's a reason almost nobody talks about: World War II. During the war, American soldiers were fed a lot of mutton, meat from older sheep. And here's the problem: it was often low quality, poorly cooked, greasy, strong-smelling. A whole generation of young men came home from the war with one memory of sheep meat: gross. They associated it with bad army food, so they didn't cook it at home. They didn't order it. They didn't pass it down to their kids. And just like that, an entire country basically learned to dislike sheep, not because of good lamb, but because of bad wartime mutton. That taste memory stuck around for decades, and food habits get passed down. Your grandparents didn't eat it, so your parents didn't, so you probably don't either. So let's put it all together. Why did beef win and sheep lose in America? Beef had the land, beef had the money, beef had the industry, beef had cheap prices, and beef had a good reputation. Sheep had the opposite. They lost the land wars. They made less money per animal. They got trapped as a wool animal. Then wool died. And then a whole generation decided their meat was disgusting because of army food. That's not one reason. That's like 5 reasons stacked on top of each other. When you look at it that way, it's honestly amazing sheep survived in America at all. And here's the deeper lesson in all of this. What a country eats isn't about what's best. It's about what won. We don't avoid sheep because the meat is bad. We avoid it because of land, money, timing, war, and habit. Culture decided this for us long before we ever picked up a fork. In another country, on another timeline, you'd be craving lamb right now and thinking beef was the weird choice. So no, we don't eat much sheep in America, not because it tastes bad, not because it's unhealthy, and not because there's anything wrong with the animal. We don't eat it because history pushed it out. The cattle ranchers won the land. The economics favored beef. Wool defined the sheep. Then wool collapsed. And bad wartime mutton poisoned an entire generation's taste for it. Meanwhile, beef became king. Cheap, easy, everywhere, and deeply American. So the next time you're at a restaurant and you see lamb sitting quietly at the bottom of the menu, now you know why it's down there. It's not that the sheep failed. It's that history never gave it a seat at the table. If you learned something today, do me a favor, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next weird question. Because trust me, there are a lot of them. I'll see you in the next one.